Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Zach is Cinema. Yes, welcome back to the most welcoming place to talk about movies. Zach is Cinema is just for all those people out there that maybe watched the original Karate Kid when they were younger and was like, oh my god, like I can just learn karate and then take care of all of my high school and childhood bullies, no problem like that. That's awesome. And then maybe you're like me and then went through like years of extensive training and then still got beat up by those high school and childhood bullies and just found out the hard way that the crane technique is really just, it's a made up technique for a movie. I learned it the hard way. I think I should have known. My dad also knew karate, so it's whatever. I don't mind walking with a limp now for the rest of my life, so it's cool. Yes, today we're going to be doing another nostalgic review. So for anybody new here, these nostalgic reviews are just me watching a movie again that I grew up for and had a lot of nostalgia for, and looking back on it, see if it still holds up, to my beautiful childhood memories. So let's just kind of hop into it here. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing The Karate Kid, which came out in 1984. For director, we got John Avildsen. For writer, we got Robert Kamen. And starring in The Karate Kid, we got Ralph Macchio and, I'm gonna mispronounce this, but Noriyuki Morita. I think I said that right. I'm sorry, Mr. Miyagi. That's all I know you as, and I think, what was it, Happy Days as well? I'm sorry, Mr. Miyagi. Please forgive me here. But the plot for The Karate Kid follows Daniel LaRusso, who, after moving to California, faces bullying from a group of karate-trained kids from Cobra Kai. With the help of Mr. Miyagi, Daniel learns karate and valuable life lessons, leading to an epic showdown at a local karate tournament. So as we hop into this review for The Karate Kid, I'm going to go through all the Karate Kid movies, including that Jaden Smith remake one too. But obviously, I want these all leading up to the new Karate Kid Legends movie starring Ralph Macchio as well, that is coming out, I believe, in May of this year. So I'm definitely looking forward to the new Karate Kid movie. I love seeing Ralph Macchio back in that role as well. But obviously, as this is a nostalgic review here, The Karate Kid, the original one, is a movie I'm so very nostalgic for. This movie, and I would say like the original Star Wars trilogy, were movies that had some of the earliest childhood memories I had with movies, just those lasting impacts some of those childhood movies give us. And The Karate Kid was a big one for me because this was one that I rewatched constantly as a kid and always loved the story, and I just remember it always making me feel more like confident after watching it. It's one of those movies that just had a lasting impact on me, and I remember it ever since the very first time that I had watched it. So definitely excited to check it out again and talk about it a bit more here, because I think it's been at least like 11-12 years since I have watched it last. So yeah, that's why I decided to check out The Karate Kid for today's video. Let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or the things that I just really enjoyed about this movie. First, starting with the music for the movie, especially in the beginning, but kind of all throughout as well. I love these older soundtracks and theme musics to older movies, especially when they had like big bands and orchestras playing the music for the movie. I feel like it's something that you don't get a lot in modern movies with that like brass and string instrument sound. It's something that always stands out to me when I'm watching an older movie like this, and just brings that like comforting, nostalgic type feeling to me as well. I think with like the music, the vibes of this movie, the 80s vibes, it always makes me feel like I'm experiencing and watching a time capsule. The movie obviously released in 1984, but it feels so 80s, and ZakIsCinema here, we love 80s movies, 80s high school school movies as well, and you get a lot of that here, especially with the bullies in this movie, as they're all very, very over the top, bullying other kids on their dirt bikes and stuff like that. So this whole movie bleeds the 80s, and it starts with the music that I really, really enjoy here. I also really love the introduction we get to Mr. Miyagi in this movie as he is trying to catch a fly with his chopsticks in his small maintenance office of the apartment complex Daniel is living at. I feel like you already get so much personality out of him with that tiny scene there, and I think it's a cool little detail showing this like almost underground secret maintenance guy that just makes the whole small apartment complex feel like a character in the movie as well. It just adds more personality to the whole environment our characters are interacting in. Speaking of Mr. Miyagi here, you're going to hear a lot of positives about our boy, Mr. Miyagi. Again, sorry I butchered your name, sir. I didn't mean it. I love his other introduction we get that makes him so mysterious and sentimental, almost like Daniel is in the movie as well. For example, like that scene when he fixes Daniel's bike, I truly don't think I've ever seen a just kinder, sweeter act than when Mr. Miyagi finds his bike in the dumpster, fixes it up for him, and leaves it by his front door. I mean, that'll bring tears to a grown man. I mean, come on. Then he brings him down to his office, has no problem fixing the bike, doesn't make the mom pay for it, and then starts showing Daniel how to take care of bonsai trees. Like, this guy is just so warm and kind that it just, again, it's already bringing the emotions, and we're like 5-10 minutes in here. And I love the dynamic they already set up here with this like father-son type relationship that they definitely hit on and expand throughout this movie as well. I think this movie also does a great job at instantly making Daniel LaRusso's character a character you want to root for and get behind. Obviously, Ralph Macchio is iconic in this role, and he's a very likable actor, likable person, so you're already liking his on-screen presence here. But the movie shows how unlikable and how awful Johnny and the other Cobra Kai kids are that it just instantly makes you start rooting for Daniel throughout this entire movie. Like, seeing how likable and kind Daniel is, and then seeing that contrasted with how awful he gets treated, with how awful everybody treats him besides like Mr. Miyagi and his mother. It just makes you root for him. It's important for one of these underdog classic stories like this, and it does that underdog story so well because you're rooting for Daniel, you like Daniel, and you hate his bullies and hate how much or how badly everyone around him pretty much treats him as well. So I think they set that up very, very nicely here. Honestly, with a lot of older movies, I feel like, to me at least, the romance side doesn't always fully work for me. It sometimes just feels forced or not set up very well, and just not a whole lot of screen presence there for me sometimes with older movies. But honestly, on rewatch here, I really bought the relationship here between Daniel and Allie, and I think it does a nice job throughout. Allie always views Daniel as very special, and they both have this like same level of respect towards each other, and their chemistry is really great and never felt forced throughout. I always remembered that one scene when I was a kid, and watching it now is really cool, but with them dancing at the school dance, and Daniel shows up with that like shower costume, and they're dancing like in the shower. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it sounds stupid, but it's just such a sweet tiny little moment there that just makes you feel so happy and so proud for our character of Daniel. And it's such a cool scene because I always remember that one sticking out to me when I first watched this as a kid. Again here, let's jump back to Mr. Miyagi and the positives. I think all of his great scenes and great introductions throughout the movie really just bring a presence and help establish his character here. There's a great scene where Johnny Johnny and the other Cobra Kai kids are beating up Daniel after this dance, and Johnny starts going really hard into Daniel, showing everyone around them that the Cobra Kai's form of karate is more about violence, fighting, and hurting people. But then all of a sudden you got our boy Mr. Miyagi leaping over that fence and then beating the shit out of all those kids. And I think it's just a great scene because you get to see Mr. Miyagi stand up for Daniel here. It's a cool scene with Mr. Miyagi fighting everyone, but it shows that Mr. Miyagi himself and his form of karate is more of a defense mechanism, more used for self-defense. He beats them up, but he doesn't keep beating them when they're down, and he only uses it to defend Daniel here. So I love that tiny little detail showing the differences of forms of karate these two groups of people are using. Also here, I think you get some of the most iconic scenes with the training section of the movie, pretty much throughout the middle of it, with all the training stuff with Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. I love how they do this in this movie, because it's not just your standard montage training scenes, but it's set up to make Daniel think that he's just Mr. Miyagi's bitch, pretty much, just working on his house, doing chores and stuff. But then, by the end of all this, we get a great scene between the two of them when Daniel realizes that all his chore work has been teaching him the basic defensive moves of karate, and these mind-numbing chores are kind of help mentally prepare him and get him in the right mindset and focus on his breathing as well. So I love this scene when he comes to realize what Mr. Miyagi's been doing, as Mr. Miyagi's laying out these chore moves, and then it goes to all the defenses in the karate scene there. So I love that aspect of the movie. It's iconic shit for a reason too. And I think those training scenes help to build the relationship between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, and just show that type of teacher Mr. Miyagi is, and shows that trust and respect that he has for Daniel, knowing that Daniel would go through with all of this in hopes that there would be something more, something at the end of this as well. Shows his determination as well. So it adds to the relationship, shows the character of Daniel, and gives him a little bit more depth here, showing that he would do all this grunt work. And I feel like you can't talk about Mr. Miyagi here without mentioning his personality. He's just so fun and nice to everyone, very similar to how Daniel treats the people around him. One scene that always stood out to me, especially as a kid too, is when they're, I think, training on the beach together, then they're going back to Mr. Miyagi's car, and those drunks are just drinking on Mr. Miyagi's car for some reason, and have all their beer bottles out on his car and everything. And then Mr. Miyagi tells them to move, they don't move, and then he chops all the bottles in half with his bare hand. And then Daniel's like, holy shit, dude, how did you do that? And then Mr. Miyagi gets in the car and he's like, I don't know, first time. It's just such a simple, funny line that really stood out to me, and I love seeing it again here too. And again, another positive for our boy, Mr. Miyagi here. I love how it develops just the relationship between him and Daniel. And I forgot how there's a couple emotional parts between them throughout this movie. And I think one that stood out to me on this most recent rewatch that I didn't pick up on when I was a kid watching this is when Mr. Miyagi, about halfway through the movie, I think, is pretty plastered drunk. Daniel comes in, but Mr. Miyagi's rambling about his wartime PTSD, but then also reveals to us and to Daniel that he lost his wife and unborn son during their pregnancy. And I love this scene because we get some more depth here to Mr. Miyagi, but it also helps to show why he felt so connected with Daniel, and helps to strengthen that father and son theme and relationship that they were going for. Lastly here, I think all of the tournament stuff at the end, at the climax, is fantastic. Has a couple beautiful one-take scenes that I picked up on this time around, and the whole tournament, I think, does such a great job at making you feel so nervous and so anxious, like were Daniel going into this unfamiliar territory with him, and you're sitting there feeling like you're there with Daniel, but you're also nervous because you want Daniel to win, and you just want to see Daniel succeed so bad. badly, and you know that the odds are stacked against him. So it leads to this fantastic climax. And of course, you can't talk about the tournament section of the movie without talking about the ending and why it's iconic for a reason. When Daniel does that crane technique kick he saw Mr. Miyagi do earlier and does it to beat Johnny, and that scene is so amazing. I love the satisfying kick he gives to Johnny right in the face, and it's just so satisfying after seeing what Johnny does to Daniel throughout this entire movie. And it's just such a satisfying conclusion that it kind of makes you forget about how goofy the crane technique kind of is. I'm not going to throw that in the negatives here. That shit's iconic, but at the end of the day, it's a little goofy. There's really no reasons why you have to have your hands up like this if you're just going to be kicking, but it looks cool and it's iconic and it leads to a satisfying conclusion. So I love that shit. Okay, but let's jump into the negatives, or the things that I just didn't like too much about this movie. Obviously, this is a classic movie, one of these movies I have a lot of nostalgia for, so I really only have a couple kind of nitpicky things to me. First here, I feel like I definitely felt the runtime on this movie, and I just don't think this movie or this type of story really has enough plot or story to really cover or justify that over two-hour runtime that it has. I think this is one of those movies that really could have been tightened down to like an hour and 40, hour and 45, and just really been a whole lot neater all the way around. I love all the training stuff, and it is necessary. However, I think it runs into an issue here when it keeps doing the same beats of him training / doing chores, but then getting beat up by the Cobra Kai kids and then doing it all over again. At a certain point felt a little repetitive, and I'm like, I'm kind of feeling this runtime. I mean, it doesn't impact my overall like score or enjoyment with this, but I did kind of feel that runtime, and I don't think a movie like this needs to be over 2 hours long. I know I also praise the relationship stuff between Allie and Daniel, but there's always one aspect that kind of bothered me with this, is I don't really understand why Allie gets mad at Daniel after Daniel saw her making out with Johnny at that party. I mean, obviously he didn't see the end result when Allie gets mad with Johnny and like slaps him in the face, but it's not really Daniel's fault because he was outside waiting for his date that Allie was late for, comes in and sees them making out. I mean, who would not freak out at that point? I'd be so hurt and so upset. But then Daniel goes to meet up with Allie later, and Allie's like pissed at him for, I guess, leaving. Like, I feel like it doesn't even fully explain what she is upset about at the situation. I feel like it's just one of those cliches where the characters need to communicate here just for a second, because this is not a conflict. This is not a problem. You guys just aren't talking. And then in this movie, they just resolve it. Like, very next scene, they're like all good again. They like both forgive each other. But I'm like, I just don't even understand why this was a plot point here. I mean, this was nothing. If anything, Allie should be apologizing to our boy Daniel. That poor dude got spaghetti all over his nice white shirt. I mean, come on, Allie. You really gonna do him like that? One of my bigger negatives here, if I'm being honest, I don't consider this one a nitpick, is I absolutely hate how they give Mr. Miyagi some like supernatural powers at the end when he kind of like rubs his hands together. He did it earlier when he like fixed Daniel's shoulder because it was like sore or something, and I'm like, okay, like he's a massage therapist, maybe he knows what he's doing. I mean, I can buy that. But then at the end, after the Cobra Kai kid did like a dirty move on Daniel and like bent his leg in half, I mean, he definitely has torn ligaments, probably an ACL tear. I mean, in no way Daniel should be competing again. But Mr. Miyagi claps his hand together and starts rubbing them, and then just like fixes his knee, and then Daniel gets out there for his final karate battle. Rewatching it, I totally forgot about that aspect that they, sometimes gave Mr. Miyagi superhero powers, but the whole movie feels so grounded that moment just feels so lazy, convenient, and it sticks out like crazy. So it is a small detail there, but I hate that aspect of the movie. Overall, I think this is such a iconic movie and a classic movie for a reason. It's a great underdog story that deals with confidence, standing up for yourself, and the importance of positive relationships. It's one of those childhood movies for me that I love now just as much as I did when I first saw it, and it'll be one of those movies I will watch for the rest of my life. For my rating for this movie is I have it as I don't own this movie, surprisingly. I thought I did. I don't own it, but I will add it to my collection, and I would more than willing pay full price for this new 4K that I believe they released last year. So it's a movie I love, a movie I will own, and a movie I would pay full price for because I'm going to be rewatching this for however long ZakIsCinema has left here. Yes, you guys have my thoughts here on the original Karate Kid movie that came out in 1984. Let me know down below. What are your opinions on the Karate Kid? Did you see the TV series Cobra Kai? I haven't watched that yet. But are you looking forward to Karate Kid Legends coming out? Are you excited to see Ralph Macchio back? Yeah, let me know about your opinions on the franchise, how this original stacks up to the rest of the Karate Kid content that we've gotten over the decades. So, like I said, we're going to be taking a journey together through this entire series here. So, look forward to those videos. But again, I appreciate anybody watching my videos. Thank you so much for clicking on another ZakIsCinema movie review, and look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.